ladies and gentlemen of SeemsGoodMagic.com. This is Travis Sowers. It's the holidays. I hope you are all having happy holidays and spending the time with people that you care about and that care about you. Dutch and I, he's kind of passed out on the chair next to me, are going to jump into a holiday cube. That seems like a great way to celebrate the season, doesn't it? Nothing says happy holidays like, you know, Island, Black Lotus, Turn 1 Jace the Mind Sculptor. That's just fair, balanced, and fun for everybody. So we'll jump in here and hope you enjoy the draft. I've been drafting a lot of these on stream as well as some flashback drafts. We did some Dragon's Maze, which were fun. We've got M14 coming up. So if you're digging Cube and want to see more, do come check out the stream. It's at twitch.tv/Simulan. All right, here we go. So first thing we're looking for is, did we open power? Because it's powered cube, we want to open power. It would appear that we did not, which is a reason for great sadness. Given that, we're going to look for cards that are either really good in their archetype or just really solid cards. So here we've got Glenelindra Archmage, which is a very powerful card. Gush is stupid if you can get fast spawn going. High Tide if you want to do storming things. I really don't want to do storming things. Bazaar of Baghdad can be quite good in a reanimation deck, but I found that wheels most often. We'd also be very interested in Mana Rocks. I don't really like the sword so much in powered cubes, because like, unless you've got the Mana Rocks to power it out, it's not fast enough. And if you've got the Mana Rocks to power it out, you can do something better with it. So frankly, since there's nothing here leading me in a particular direction, I'm going to take a blue dual. It turns a lot of fetches into multiple colors of mana, and like, until we know what we're doing, like, these are all solid role players in various deck archetypes, but none of them are format, like, deck defining cards. So we'll just take a fetch and move along with our life. Now, is it Signet? Is Grim Tutor certainly is. Recruiter of the Guard can be. Sulfuric Vortex is the best card if you want to play mono red. I usually don't, but that said, this card is absurd in that deck specifically and only. Recruiter can go into like some Kiki-Jiki shenanigans, or Splinter Twin. Muldrifter is just a solid value card, but like, when there's Signets, you take the Signets and you move along. It gives us two Signets that want to be blue and, well, one Signet and one land that want to be blue and red. And there's some other archetype cards here, like Grim Tutor, Animate Dead, Ancestral Visions is even okay if you can get some Cascade shenanigans going. But I think I'm pretty happy with a blue and red Signet and a blue and red dual, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with them later. There's the fast bond. If we'd taken Gush, we're in an entirely different direction. Since we haven't, we can look at something like Thada. This is not a fantastic card, but in Powered Cube, it can be very busted. A lot of people are playing blue, so the Island Walk is quite often on, and fishing a Mox out of your opponent's deck is just great. Also, she fishes it out because she's a merfolk. If it's not her, we need to go in a completely different direction. I don't think you can really be like, yeah, we'll try mono red after you pass the Vortex. We could look at Fast Bond and see if we can do something stupid like Upheaval. Because right now we're just kind of like, not really any direction. Could also just take a land and set us up to do Grixis things, which may even be better than Thada. Like, I like her. Yeah, I'm just going to take lands. A lot of times I'll start a draft like this and just take a bunch of lands, and then when I figure out what's open and what I should be doing, I'll just do that. Like here, Recurring Nightmare is kind of busted. If we can start taking a deck of creatures that have come into play abilities, like the Muldrifter's not coming back, for example, but some other things might. We might even wield that Enlightened Tutor and just do like black-white value and not play these. There is a draw 7. If Storm is your dream, and there's a cat. It pains me not to take the cat, but Recurring Nightmare is a very strong card, and starts to give us some direction of what we'd like to be doing. Balance is another absurdly broken card. It doesn't really play particularly well with the two duels we have, but that's kind of fine. That can enable a splash for something later. And again, certain fetches would turn this into a duel even if we're not playing those as main colors. Because Balance is crazy good. If you landed on turn 2, etc., etc. Kind of want to dump your hand, have a bunch of Mana Rocks, do some cool stuff. I can go with a deck that's going to play Balance and Recurring Nightmare. Okay. We've got some strong cards here leading us to believe that some sort of black-white shenanigans deck might be open. Blade Splicer and Affinimancer both play very well with Recurring Nightmare. The Blade Splicer gives you a better body. The Affinimancer gives you a recurring one, which is kind of neat. There's also Anguished Unmaking, but if we're playing white and black as our main colors, I think we're pretty likely to have decent removal. I think I'll take the Blade Splicer. It plays a little bit better with like a Flicker Wisp or Restoration Angel, which we don't have yet. I wish these were in separate packs because I would like both of them, but they're not, so we move along with our life. We're not too far out from splashing a Zealous Conscripts, and the card is stupid good. So is Duplicant, frankly. Like, recurring a Duplicant is kind of exciting. It's more like a Duplican. We could even be like red-white Kiki Jiki. Splash Recurring Nightmare. That's not absurd. Alright, so we've got a Deluge, a Mutavault. I don't know that our mana is going to be good enough to play off-color lands, although Port's a very strong one if we're doing like pure aggro. Strix is a good thing to bounce with the Recurring Nightmare. It doesn't go in this, like, we're probably not able to do Strix and Zealous Conscripts. There's also Coercive Portal, which is just draw a card every turn, which is kind of nice. But I think I'll go with the Strix and see if maybe we can set something up there. All of these cards are fine, but I'm starting to think I just want some good lands, and maybe we're just playing, you know, 4-color stuff, not green. As I mentioned, that the Sword's not being particularly good, this one wheeling doesn't really surprise me. The only one that I value relatively highly is the Sword of Body and Mind, because that can win a game on its own. Vortex coming back is weird too. Spirit of the Labyrinth is fine if you're aggressive, and we might be. We could also, if we're going to go deep on an Esper Things deck, which like that would turn a red fetch into a blue and white duel. I wouldn't hate running Johnny. We could still pretty easily splash the Conscripts. I'll give Johnny a try. Ravages of War is a card that does a thing. Like if you can get ahead and cast it, you kind of just win. We're kind of far away from that right now. That doesn't mean we won't get there. I could play the Figure of Destiny and like have a hedge towards a mono white deck. I'll try that. I don't think this is going in the deck. Well, now we're just doing this because I've got 2 copies of Recurring Nightmare in the deck, so we can just easily pull this off. And I'll take all the man lands I can get, and we will Affinimancer. Okay. Things are going well. This is a start I'm exceptionally happy with. So all I really want is like stuff that I can bounce back and forth from the graveyard. Treachery is one of the most powerful cards in the cube. Our fixing doesn't quite set us up to play it, but we do have that Signet. It would be nice if there was some power here. There is not. Like all of this red fixing is weird, right? But I think you take the power card here and then kind of see where you go from there. Like we'll probably play one of these 2 5-drops. Dak Faden's stupid good. Can I make that happen too? Like I'm going to need some fetches to make this mana base work. But yeah, I think I'm full on 3-color good stuff now, Recurring Nightmare deck. The neat thing about Treachery is it also plays well with the Enlightened Tutor. Like I can go get it. Yeah, we're decking. Last deck I drafted had Oath of Druids in it, and it was good. It was very good, but that's not what we're doing here. There's nothing absurd. Like the Temple of Epiphany fixes our mana a little bit. The Wall of Omens is a nice little cycler with Recurring Nightmare. It also plays nicely with Restoration Angel and a Flicker Wisp, which we're already pretty interested in. Like I want the fixing, but I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. I want to fetch. That's what I want. I'm probably not going to see one, but I want one. Reruns it. Gideon's not crazy here, but Lingering Souls plus Recurring Nightmare, if you can get stuff in the graveyard, is just dumb. I'm still not sure what we're really doing other than like value grinding through our dudes. But I mean, I think we're black-white splashing the other two colors, and there's not fixing here. I mean, Gideon kind of provides a stream of tokens too, right? And can technically win the game on his own. It just costs one more to cast. It's double white though. Skin render's nice to recur to. Like, we're not super heavy in black. I don't know. I think I'm going to hedge towards the Gideon, but that was actually a difficult pick. Now here's kind of a tough one because we've got Scrubland, which we're very interested in, but I've drafted so many things and said they'd be good with Restoration Angel that I think if I don't take the Restoration Angel, I'm probably not doing it right. All right, Flooded Strand gets Volcanic Island, Sacred Foundry. That is exactly what I want. That is exactly what I want. I want the Plateau too, but like this is just too good. If I had that Scrubland, it would fix for all four colors. But all right, we'll start here and try to build a better mana base. All right. So Hero of Bladehold can run somebody over. Baneslayer Angel is a nice top end for a control deck, but that's not what we're doing. Like, we've got some black-white token shenanigans going on here, and I like where they're going. All right, so we could look at Silverblade and kind of cut some of the shenanigans. Like, maybe we don't need some of this, and we just want an assertive black-white tokens deck. But even if that's the case, I think Elspeth might just be better. I'm going to have to decide pretty quickly, though, what we want to be doing. These are not the fetches we want, so that's not going to allow us to have shenanigans in the deck. Like, it feels wrong not to splash for at least the conscripts. And especially when I've got these blue duels, like, there's no reason Dak can't be in this deck. Mana Tithe, I think, is the one I'm most likely to play here. Talia kind of messes up my own deck, doesn't it? Maybe we're just black-white tokens. My mana's terrible if we're black-white tokens. That's funny. That's really funny. Alright, I can see Sculler doing a thing. You can sacrifice it to Recurring Nightmare with the trigger on the stack and they never get the card back, which is cute. Helix would give us access to a removal spell, which we're really not running currently. But I could see Porcelain Legionnaire being good here. It's a 2-drop. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain where this deck is going now. I'll have access to more stuff like that. I'm going to take the Helix and put it in the maybe pile. Because, like, we've got a reasonable mana base to cast all of this but Treachery. And I kind of don't see the reason not to have at least Dak in here. Spun Lingering Souls, that's good. We could look for an Anthem effect like Spear of Heliod. But I think I just want Lingering Souls. Like, we've got enough creatures to get back that we could really do something here. I like the manlands, too. Those are usually pretty good in Cube. They're better in non-powered Cube, because, like, we're going into a powered Cube draft, and we don't have any power. That's kind of sad. I mean, sure, we'll hack a bargain. I don't think we're likely to play any of those, but the Storm deck is moving right on by. I'll have to move in and do a Storm deck at some point. I don't really like playing Storm. In fact, I kind of wonder if it should even be in here, because, like, wow, Honor of the Pure. We may just be, or supposed to be, drafting black-white tokens. What does that look like if we do that? I'll complain about Storm for a minute here at some point. Like, what if I do this? Where are we at? We still want the Signet, so we could potentially ramp out these. We still want, obviously, all of these things. Let's figure out what our pick is, and then we can complain about Storm. Grim Monolith is kind of the obvious pick for most decks, but if we're doing this, I don't want it. Like, this deck could probably use a Duress. Everybody says Smokestack is a trap, but I mean, it looks like it'd be a lot of fun. Just sack a Phenomancer tokens, maybe get a Braids. I could see Revelark being okay. I could see the Wingmare being okay. Like, this deck actually does want a sword, and it wants some more 1-drops. Like, we've got Tutor to get Nightmare, and that's it. Or Honor of the Pure. This deck kind of wants Armageddon, too. I may have been drafting wrong the whole time. I think the card I'm most likely to want to play is the Revelark, although I could see a strong argument for the Smokestack. But anyway, the reason I kind of don't like Storm is, like, there's some decks that beat you with absurd draws, right? You know, turn 1 Lotus, ramp out a Planeswalker, you're dead. That's fine. Storm does that too, except sometimes they don't win and sometimes they do. But either way, it takes 10 minutes, and you're just watching your opponent cycle through all of this ridiculous crap for 10 minutes before finally something happens. Mentor might do a thing. Mentor might actually be pretty good. We've got a lot of non-creature spells here with the Elspeth, Recurring Nightmare, Tutor, Mana Tithe. Yeah, I think we were supposed to just be doing aggressive white the whole time. All right, there's a Sword and a Woe Reaper as well as a Bitter Blossom. I think we can probably spin the Woe Reaper. There's a chance we can spin the Sword or see another Sword. Like, Bitter Blossom is, if we're doing token things, this is exactly what we want. Now, Shriekmaw is also a very strong consideration because it plays so nicely with the Recurring Nightmare, but I think we're just supposed to be doing token things. That's kind of sad. My last deck was a Tinker Reanimator deck that was a lot of fun. There's also Yogg's Will. I think we're probably at Orzhov Signet here, though. Our mana's not going to be good enough to play the Strip Mine because I legitimately don't have any fixing for just black-white. And Orzhov does something. I think we still want the Izzet Signet in this deck, but I'm going to move it over here for now just in case I change my mind. I mean, here's power. This is an exceptionally powerful card. It is stupid and broken. And, like, I'm sure people have quit playing Magic because of it. That said, it's probably not for us. I think we're stuck with something like Archangel of Thune, which is a fine card for this deck. We could also look at taking Leyline of Sanctity in case we play against a Storm deck. But, like, seeing Mana Drain is just kind of sad. But that's all right. That's all right. Relic Warder goes right in this deck. Right in this deck. I wouldn't mind another Anthem effect because we've kind of only got 2 here. I haven't drafted aggressive-ish white in a long time. I like it. Soldier of the Pantheon versus Kitchen Finks. Like, I'd like to have 3 1-drops, and if we spin that Woe Reaper, we will. I mean, Bob's not unreasonable in a deck like this either, but let's grab a couple 1-drops and see if either the Woe Reaper or that Sword spins. The Smokestack spun. Like, I can pump out a bunch of tokens and I can go find the Smokestack. I don't know, man. Smokestack Bitter Blossom? Everybody says it's a trap, but I could get behind this. Then we can look at maybe cutting the Wall of Omens. Even though, again, it's cute with the Restoration Angel, it's not really doing... Like, this deck, I think, wants to attack rather than just not. It still feels weird having, like, Dak Faden and Zealous Conscripts in the sideboard, but this draft went a little strange. I think I should have been taking aggressive white cards earlier and had something like a couple of these 4-drops be actual 1-drops, but meh. This works. Like, it's not the best Recurring Nightmare deck ever, but since so much of our stuff makes tokens, if they're able to actually answer any of our dudes, we can just kind of get them back. Balance is weird in this deck. Like, we're kind of not quite abusing it. I'm still going to run it, because sometimes just dumping your opponent's hand is good for you. But we'll have to see where we go. I can probably find... Well, I've got a disenchant on a body. Sort of. Disfigure's a decent removal spell. I think we're going to be something like 11 planes and just a light touch of black. Disenchant's so good in Powered Cube. Like, I should find some room for it. Okay, the Woe Reaper and the Sword wield. Like, we're not exactly aggressive. So did the Shriek Maw. I can't not take the Shriek Maw. I understand that I've been saying, I think we should be aggressive. We should be aggressive. But, like, Shriek Maw Recurring Nightmare is just kind of not beatable for some decks. And I would like a sword, but that's not the best sword. I'm not playing Yog's Will, but neither is anybody else. And this is why you should have good mana in Cube, if you recognize what you're doing fast enough. Because, like, we've got 25 playables and have to cut some, and we've got playable cards in our sideboard. I took enough picks on mana. I just didn't get the right lands to go with what we're doing. So we're going to have bad mana, good cards, and the potential to win. I like the Archangel because it sort of gives us another anthem. We're just not quite as aggressive as I would have wanted to be. I'm trying to figure how likely we are to actually want balance. Just hack something from a red deck. Hack something from a storm deck. Turn to Log's a good card. I don't know why Song of the Dryads was going around that late. Like, the balance wants us to be playing the Izzet Signet as well, right? Like, you want to get as many artifacts in your deck as you can with this, because it's like sack everything but Planeswalkers. So I'm not even sure that this is a balanced deck. I can't believe I'm saying that. Could such a thing exist? I think I definitely want to try the Smokestack, especially with 2 copies. God, playing mono... I don't know if you could see the air quotes there, but they were there. Mono white without balance. Like, if I'm trying to overwhelm the board with tokens, that doesn't seem like a really good idea. I think I still like Honor of the Pure. Like, most of our cards make white creatures, and I kind of dig one anthem that doesn't have to connect, that I can just play. Gideon's another anthem too. Like, I could run the Disenchant over the Honor of the Pure. This deck is just slow for Powered Cube. It's got some game to it. I think I could see doing this, because, like, we need to interact with our opponent early and blow up their giant mana rocks. And again, my mana is not going to be particularly pretty. I think 10-7 is where I want to be, because, like, we kind of do want black on turn 2. Oh yeah, sorry guys and gals, this is not a beautiful example of a Powered Cube deck. It's probably an example of one that could go 2-1 though. So I'll be pretty happy if we can pull that off. Appreciate you tuning in. We will see you for round 1 in just a moment.